Hi, this is a different video here because I'm concerned. I want to think about Frege here with respect. Let me put in my password on my iPad. I want to think about Frege's program, and I want to discuss it from what Crispin Wright says. And I've done that in the video where I talk about logical ontology, because that's in the video I mostly talked about how I think Frege, his program and Hume's principle, shows that there, and his discussion of how he thinks about things with respect to concepts, the extension of concepts, equinumerosity, and one-on-one correspondence of concepts, and classes and sets and all that stuff. I think that shows it shows like a little skeleton under all the things that we discuss, all the things that we think about. It's not just a method of how to argue things. I think that Frege shows that not only under arithmetic but under all things that there are certain axioms to be discovered about everything. That's why even as philosophers work and do all these things, that there's still more work in logic to be always done, because there's axioms to be discovered and formulated about everything. Because I think if we look at the Dedekind piano axioms, which there's more than 5, but there's the famous 5. There's more than 5, but those are axioms with respect to number and equality. Those axioms say a lot about equality between mathematical objects, and there's a lot of axioms to be discovered and formulated with more than just mathematics, I would say. And in that video I talk about how that underneath all of our arguments, everything we say, everything we do, there's a logical skeleton beneath all of that, and there's logical objects there as well. And I'm not trying to be a pure logicist here, but that video just kind of shows that. I mean, in that video I talk about how Frege's program kind of shows that there's more logic always to be done, because it's not like we have a pure axiom yet that defines everything, because Hume's principle took the famous five Dedekind piano axiom and put it in one. So in this video I want to discuss Frege. I want to discuss his program. I want to discuss what he was trying to do, and then I want to discuss his downfall, basically. Let me go to Hume's principle on Crispin Wright. Yeah, I'm basically going off of Stuart Shapiro as well as Crispin Wright and discussing this based off of them. Because I did not have any works of Frege, even though I have all those books back there. Hume's principle: for any concepts f and g, the number of s is the same as the number of g's, if and only if f and g can be put into one-on-one correspondence. Stuart Shapiro would phrase that as the concepts f and g, the number of s is the same as the number of g's, if and only if f and g are equal numerous, and going by the notion of equinumerosity. Because if we have a function f, uppercase f, and lowercase a, the a is talking about the extension of the concept f, or the objects that fall under that concept. So that's what we're talking about here when we talk about a one-on-one correspondence, or the same amount of objects, the extensions are the same. They're thus equinumerous. With that, Crispin Wright shows how we can go from a simple idea like the statement that the number of things which are not self-identical is identical to itself, and takes that. He shows how Hume's principle can take that That's a statement about numerical identity, is what it is. It takes that and it transforms it and puts it into a statement of pure second order logic, and it uses a existential quantifier. So what is going on there is that's what Hume's principle is doing. Is it's kind of showing how we can go from statements about numerical identity and numerical sentences, and taking that and putting it into logic. And what Crispin Wright says about this, and the ability to take this statement about numerical identity and put it into second order logic, it's saying that this says something, this little program of Frege's has to be saying something about number theoretic set theory, or logicism, number theoretical logicism, and it mostly is saying that we can at least show that logic can reduce statements of numerical identity in numbers and mathematical objects, and reduce that and make it a statement about logical objects and logic. And I think that with that little stunt there, it shows that that's possible. Now the problem, I guess here is that, well, I mean the whole thing that's awesome about this is that Frege creates these laws and axioms, and that are of logic. They're logical axioms, and he intends to build arithmetic on them. Because like, if we can take a statement of numerical identity, or take a statement of numerical objects and put that into, and transform it and make it a statement of second order logic, thus predicate logic, then there has to be something there, and he argues that that we can do that, and he creates these axioms to build arithmetic upon these this axiomatic logic. So there's one problem to Hume's principle. There's this problem. It's called the Caesar problem. Now, the number of 1 is identical to Julius Caesar. Now, this is it's just what it's pointing out about Hume's principle. It's just saying that we don't know. It's like it's difficult to decide truth values of mixed identity statements. And Crispin Wright states here that it's at most a shortcoming of insufficiency rather than incorrectness, and if it is at least a correct partial definition, then Frege's theorem, Hume's principle, shows that the fundamental laws of arithmetic, the P&O axioms, are logical consequences of a definition. Now, would that not be a vindication of a species of logicism about number theory? Logicism, that is the field of philosophy of mathematics which says that laws of arithmetic can be reduced down to pure logic. Now, this is a big program here. This is a big deal. And I wish I had Frege's works, but I don't anymore, because I don't have a college library like I used to. Otherwise, I'd probably go more into it. But I do not. Yeah, but I have read that before, and in my other video, I discussed the famous 5 Dedekind piano axioms, and that discusses essentially. It points out things about equality between mathematical objects. Mostly, this is mostly what those do. And yeah, but then we have this Hume's principle, and then that shows us that we can kind of do this a little bit. And what Hume's principle shows is that we can at least take laws of arithmetic and reduce that down to axioms of logic, or we can do that at least, of second order logic at least. That's what the Hume's principle thing. That's what it shows, and even given the Caesar problem, it shows that there's some partial correctness of this, and that we still have consistency in the fact that we can still at least take this and take number identities, statements about number and numerical identity, and increase that into second order logic. But then there's the problem. Shapiro goes over Frege pretty quickly, and then he discusses then basic law 5. Let me find basic law 5 in this book. Okay. For any concepts f and g, the extension being the objects of. For any concepts f and g, the extension of f is identical to the extension of g, if and only if for every object a, f of a is true, if and only if g of a. In other words, the extension of f is the extension of g, if and only if f and g hold the same objects. Now, when we say f of a and g of a, we're talking about a as the extension of the concepts g and f, or the extension meaning the objects that fall under it. And Gottlob Frege, he gets this letter from this letter from Bertrand Russell. There's actually a correspondence where you can actually see the letters. I actually have that on my iPad somewhere, but you can actually go see what the letter was, what Russell's letter was to Frege. And Basic Law 5 was the point where Frege's program, the part where Frege was going to build all of his arithmetic onto these logical laws. This Basic Law 5 was the crumbling point. It was the part where it just fell apart. Now, Bertrand Russell's letter, mostly what it did was point out what is now called Russell's paradox. Now, I love paradoxes, honestly, but this one, it kind of because if you read through Frege, as I have read through Frege, and it seems like it's a very exciting thing. It does excite me. It has excited me just because of how much that would amount to if something like that would actually work. If we could because I guess the way I see logic is I see logic as we can find more and more logical axioms where logic is not just a method of how we argue or how we talk about things. It's more a skeleton under everything we say and think. It's and axioms that can be discovered can subsume a lot of things, and we can find out laws not only about logic but about the objects of logic, and thus the objects about the world. So I see logic as more than just symbols and more than just symbols and conditionals and all that stuff. I don't see it as that. I see it more as an area where more and more can be found as to how we can make more axioms that can subsume more things. But this basic law of 5, Bertrand Russell, sending a letter to Frege in 1902. This is the logical. I'll provide a better explanation, not a better explanation, but an example which shows how problematic this is. But this is the logical explanation by Shapiro of this inconsistency of basic law 5. Let R be the concept that applies to an object X, just in case there is a concept F, in such that the extension of F and F of X, X being the extension of F, is false. Okay, so here's the paradox. Let lowercase r, the object being the extension of uppercase R. Suppose that R of R is true. Then there is a concept F such that R is the extension of F and F of R is false. It follows from basic law 5 that R is also false, since R is also the extension of R. Thus, if R of R is true, then R of R is false. So, R of R is false. Then there is a concept F, namely R, such that R is the extension of F, and F of R is false. So by definition, R holds of R, so R of R is true. This is a contradiction, and so basic law 5 is inconsistent. This is now known as Russell's paradox. I laugh every time I see something or think about Russell's paradox. It's saddening at the least to see something like Frege's program just go down with one letter, but this is what Frege said in response to Russell's letter. Your discovery of the contradiction caused me the greatest surprise, and I would almost say consternation, since it has shaken the basis on which I intended to build arithmetic. The matter is all the more serious since, with my laws of my Rule 5, and not only the foundations of my arithmetic, but also the sole possible foundations of arithmetic seem to vanish. In any case, your discovery is very remarkable and will perhaps result in a great advance in logic, unwelcome as it may seem at first glance. Okay. So, basic law 5. For any concepts F and G, the extension of F is identical to the extension of G, if and only if every object A, F of A, if and only if G of A. So I want to sort of write this out here. So we have the concept F, and we have the concept G. Now, concept is something abstract, such as the direction of is a concept which is abstract, and we have objects that fall under it. Now, what basic law says is that we're trying to get at the possibility of concepts F and G and the extensions of them being identical. What the goal of basic law 5 is just to show the possibility of the extension of these concepts being identical. If the extension of A is equal to the extension of G. So, let's say we have A. A is the concept of A is the object that falls under two different concepts. Now, one good way to explain this would be to say the set of all teacups. So this is the set of all sets. So we're the set of all teacups. So a set of all teacups, we have a set of black teacups, a set of red teacups, a set of plastic teacups. We have sets of black, red, and we have all these different teacups, but they're all teacups. So we can't have anything within the set be a member of itself. We cannot have that within this set of teacups. But if we have a set of non-teacups, we're going to have things within there that are members of themselves, which would be contradictory. But here's the better way that I would. It's a good way to explain it, which kind of shows how difficult this paradox is. So we have a city of all people. We have a city of people who are all clean shaven, and we have all these people who are clean shaven, and yet they don't shave themselves. It's a city full of people who are all clean shaven and don't shave themselves. And we have this barber. The barber shaves everyone. And everybody's clean shaven, and they don't shave themselves. Everyone is clean shaven in this town. The barber shaves them. So, who shaves the barber? If every single person in this town, every person who lives in this town, including the barber, is clean shaven, including the barber, does not shave themselves, and the barber shaves them, who shaves the barber? Because if the barber shaves everyone in the town, including himself, it's a contradiction. I got a better way to explain it here. Okay. Suppose there's a town with just one barber who is male. In this town, every man keeps himself clean shaven. He does so by doing exactly one of two things: by shaving himself or going to the barber. Another way to say this is: a barber is a man in town who shaves those and only those men in town who do not shave themselves. And then we pose this question: who shaves the barber? This question results in a paradox because, according to the statement above, he can either be shaved by himself or the barber, which happens to be himself. So that's a good way to. It's a good example of Russell's paradox. So Russell's paradox is essentially. We have this barber who has to be shaved himself, and yet he lives in a town where no one shaves himself. So that's the paradox. That's essentially the paradox where we have two concepts, F and G, and if they're the objects that fall under them, their extensions are the same, then the concepts are the same. And we're having a set of all sets who are not members of themselves. The set of all teacups are not members of themselves. But we have a set of all non-teacups. You're gonna have problems there because they're not members of themselves. So in this barber thing, we have a set of all people who don't shave themselves, but are shaved by the barber. And we have a city of all people who don't shave themselves. You know, shaven by the barber. And the barber is clean shaven. So Russell's paradox can be shown to be quite a problematic thing, and it is a very important a very important point in philosophy of mathematics and logic, mostly because from this point, from the point where Russell sent that letter to Frege, there was a point of a lot of work in logic because of that paradox, and it crumbled Frege's problem, and I mean it crumbled Frege's program, and furthermore, it kind of gave birth. It kind of moved forward to Russell's logicism, and that's a different idea because that's a different sort of place to go, because there's a theory of types there, which is not something that Frege had in his program. So that can be shown to so where you can see inconsistency in Frege's basic law 5, because there's a possibility of, because in basic law 5 it says if you have a concept F and a concept G, that F of A, if and only if G of A, the concepts of A will fall under F, if and only if the objects A will fall under the concept G. So, but that can be shown to not work because of the fact how we can have a paradox like this, where there are sets that are members of themselves within things like this. So, yeah, that's I think is a good description of this little problem here. And I guess I want to see if I can't move towards Russell, and definitely Carnap, and I'm gonna move towards Russell here for sure, and definitely to Carnap. I'm gonna read with you Carnap's empiricism, semantics, and ontology, and then from that I'll move to formalism, and I'll go through the different kinds, and especially to David Hilbert's program. And from that I'm not sure if I'll do anything on intuitionism or not, because I don't really have anything of Dummett's work right now. So I guess there are other intuitionists in the philosophy of mathematics, but I don't know. I do not have Dummett. So yeah. But and then from that point, I will discuss contemporary philosophy of mathematics, and for sure I will discuss the Quine-Putnam indispensability, which I have mentioned in these videos on Frege, mostly because there is an epistemological problem if you are going to ascribe to this abstract. So I will get into that. So I'm going to do some good stuff on logicism, and then we'll see what I do with formalism and intuitionism. So yeah, I will see you then.